Hello and welcome to this episode of Talking Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we are looking at various Hardura and Moquette pieces for the Jaguar XK150 drop head coupe. That's the DHC models. So what we've got here is all elements that we include as standard and as part of our trim kits, mainly focused on the rear cabin area of the car and the boot trunk area of the car in the sort of Hardura and Moquette materials. So what we've got is we've got the sort of boot trunk mat, boot side panels, the fuel pump panel cover. And then we've got the sort of rear access hinge door that separates the boot trunk area to the main cabin. The rear bulkhead, which sits behind the actual sort of little tractor seats in the back of the car behind the front seats. We've got the differential hump, the diff hump cover, and then we've got the wheel arches, the main wheel arches and the lower wheel arches on the left and right side of the car. So as with the majority of the parts that we sell, all of these bits are included as part of our standard trim kit, but we do sell them individually as well. And when I say individually, I mean as car sets. For example, the wheel arches are sold as a pair for the mains, and then we also sell the lower wheel arches as a pair separately, if you follow, and things like the boot sides are sold as a pair, boot mat as a single item, etc. But everything all together as part of our trim kit. Right, so what I've done is I've gathered them all together and sort of roughly laid them out in the car how they sit. I'm stood at the back of the car looking forward effectively, and what we've got here, it's all done to OEM spec. We've got new tan is the main trim colour, and Hardura is a dominant material. Hardura being a felt backed plastic material with a graining on it to make it look like the vinyl and the leather. So this was what Jaguar originally used for a lot of these areas. And then Moquette being a wool based material, very high quality, very short pile, and just fairly flexible backing. It's made to give the appearance of carpet but without the bulkiness of carpet, so it doesn't have the backing, doesn't have the thicker pile like the carpet does, but it's made to look like a carpet. In fact, it's made from the same yarn factory, so colour wise very close. And Jaguar commonly uses this on a lot of their cars of this era to go in areas where they wanted the texture to come across like looking like carpet, but you want the flexibility and the pliability of a thinner material, so it's commonly used. Most common practically used was on the back of the front seats for the XKs and some of the early E-types and the Jag Mark IIs, etc. Right, so let's dive in. We've got the boot mat. Now this boot mat, it's worth noting, has the cutout here, obviously the main cutout here being for the fuel pump filler, which sits there and gets covered in Moquette. However, some of the XK150s, they used a telescopic rod to keep the boot trunk lid up in place when you open it before they updated it. So this has the cutout here for the telescopic rod. The majority of the cars, I believe, or certainly a decent amount of them, left without that. So imagine the boot mat basically just followed that contour around there, and this was still Hardura, so we have patterns for both of them, just to show you in a book what I'm talking about. We're talking about, here we are, that rod there and the cutout accordingly. You can just about make it out in that corner there as well. So like I say, a lot of them didn't have that. They just featured a different style of prop to prop the lid open, but I think the early cars had this rather bulky telescopic rod to do it. So we have got the cutouts available there for the patterning on those ones, just FYI. So boot mat, done in new tan, edged all the way around. We use leather cloth to edge our carpets and flooring pieces, which is the original material. We do not use vinyl. Vinyl creates a much thicker and lumbersome finish, in our opinion. A lot of other companies just standardly use vinyl out there, so they don't have to stock two materials. We do not, we go that extra mile. Boot sides, trunk sides, so you get a pair of them. They're separated into a two-piece one to separate for the fuel filler cover there, and then the right-hand side, if you're facing forward, it's just one piece. Again, Hardura material there. Obviously, I've covered the fuel filler there, just to clarify what I'm talking about there if you missed it. It's this part here. So it's where the fuel pipe goes down into the fuel tank. There's a sort of metal cover that comes off, and it's covered in Moquette. Moving further forward in the car, you have almost the back bulkhead area, and it had a rear hatch which separated it, folded down, and it separated the boot from the main cabin area. It was a piece of ply with some bolts on it. The boot side was trimmed in Hardura to match, obviously, the boot mat. So then the cockpit cabin side was Moquette sewn together. So that's a retrim kit, all fully sewn, ready to retrim to your original wood panel. We can supply replacement wood panels if you need. Then you've got the rear bulkhead area. Now the rear bulkhead on the drop head and the fixed head, you don't really see much of it when it's in the car because the rear seats kind of cover it up. But just to show you what I'm talking about, we're talking about this area here. Now obviously the rear seats are covering it. You can just about make out the Hardura there. But if you look, or rather if I look, where are we? Yeah, and again, you can just about make out the Hardura there. There's a better image somewhere else on a Roadster. I've lost my place now, I'm afraid. Oh, you just have to take my word for it. Oh, there we are. On the Roadster, nice and clearly seen. It's a slightly different shape on the Roadster, but the principle's the same. So it lays down on the horizontal, goes up on the vertical, round the diff hump and around the other side. So that's that piece there, but obviously when everything's said and done in the car, the rear seats cover most of it. So that bends like that basically on the horizontal, and that's the vertical, and you only really see this part of it when everything's said and done on the drop heads. Then in the middle of that you have the differential hump, the diff hump, which a lot of people confusingly think is made in carpet, but it is not. It's Moquette, and it's sewn together like that and sits in and goes over the dome. Again, you can see very clearly on the Roadster there. Yeah, it does kind of follow on into the carpet set, which is why a lot of people think that it is carpet, but it's not, it's Moquette. And then you've got the wheel arches. Now we separate these into the main wheel arches, which are the bigger parts, and the lower wheel arches, which are the smaller parts. You can just about make these out. So here, that's the lower one, that's the smaller one. That's these pieces there. That's actually, this one I'm pointing at here is actually that one, the other side there. And then the main, let's see, that's a fixed head, so it doesn't actually show it very well. Because the fixed heads had different quarter panels, which confuse the matter. You can just about make it out on the Roadster there, so that's side panel there, and this one over here. So they're the wheel arches in Moquette as well there. So yeah, that's basically the kit for the drop head 150. Very similar to the fixed head 150 and some of the Roadster 150s, but they are all subtly different, so just bear that in mind. So shapes, sizes, etc. do change. Some of them are shared, but yeah, for the most part they're different and commonly look the same as a basic gauge. So hope you found this video helpful. Please remember to like, subscribe and share with other classic car enthusiasts, and be sure to tune into our next one. Cheers.